What would you say is the biggest challenge in your work?
The biggest challenge. I would say the biggest challenge is getting over self. Because sometimes in the process of doing things, we tend to overlook the small progressions. And I think that's the thing with something that's starting out, is that we don't look at the small progressions that we made, and we're so focused on the end goal, that we don't take time to look at the small steps that we made. Even if it's just for myself, I paid out of my own pocket for the organization to start. So I paid the almost $200 something to the Secretary of State to get the certificate of existence, the article of corporation. And for me as a 21-year-old to drop that amount of money as a college student, that's a big step for me. Now, where we are now, I'm grateful for the journey, and I'm also grateful to where we're going.
Welcome to another edition of the Imagine Exposure Vodcast. Today we have a very, very, very special guest. I'll tell a little story about him. This off the rip. So this young man has he's very mature, right? Like he's young, much younger than me. But I remember, I never forget, he was in high school, and I was doing some ministry. I was doing various different nonprofit work that I was doing in Dallas. He used to call me like almost like an older person would call a younger person, and just encourage, just reach out. That's just who he is. You know, he's just second to none in terms of character, background, that sort of thing. And so without further ado, I want to introduce to you a young leader, innovator, guy who's going to do some great things. I do believe that. None other than Khalil Koger. How you doing, Khalil?
I'm doing well. Yourself, Zach?
That's what's up. All right, well, we're going to go right into it. I just start straight out the gate. First question, who are you and how do you define yourself?
Well, first of all, I'm Khalil Koger, son of Kimberly Koger of here in Orangeburg, South Carolina. I would define myself as an establishmentarian and a visionary.
Okay. You see. I must preface. He is a clap for night. So you know he gonna go deep on it. He gonna go deep on it. So he'll get into that. I give him time to get in there. So what is your story as it pertains to work and vocation?
One more time, couldn't hear you.
What is your story as it pertains to work and vocation? What would you say is your story?
Okay, so my story is well, number one, I'm the founder and executive director of Team Answer, a nonprofit here in Orangeburg. My vocation is the crazy paradigm is I'm a clapperite, but I work at South Carolina State University.
There you go.
Facilities office director.
Hey.
So that is my vocation, but I'm also a pastor. So a part of that, that's just kind of in sum of what my story is. I'm finishing this degree in psychology. I have a love of people, love of learning, and that's just my story.
Awesome. What would you say is the biggest misconception of your job?
I'll talk about two of them.
See, he got so many jobs. He's like, what he talking about? Let me think. That's a good thing to have.
The one at South Carolina State, I will say the biggest misconception would be that this job is easy. I kind of dispatch and oversee all of the departments. So we have grounds, we have custodial, we have the movers department, we have maintenance, the zone technicians for the dormitories. So I kind of oversee and dispatch those. So when somebody comes in, so it's a very rigorous job. There's not really a lot of downtime. So from 7:30 to 4:30, I'm on it. On the flip side of the second, it's not really a job, it's my passion. But I would say about being a founder and executive director of a starting organization is that there is no payoff. There's no profit. If you love people the way I do, every interaction with the person of changing someone's life is profit for me. Whether I ever make $1 off of what I do, being able to change someone's life is profit enough for me.
Absolutely. All right. So, who are the people in your vocational story in which you're the most grateful for?
I'm most grateful for my mother. That's
Mhm.
the first thing. She pushes me in ways like none other. When I want to give up, she keeps pushing me. I was very grateful for my grandmother. She is the one that gives me all of these, all of the wisdom that I've come across. So anything and everything that I've come through and have to face, she's given me the wisdom to handle that. And then most importantly, I'm thankful to God who's given me everything that I need, even in my tough times, to still continue to keep me.
Right. Let's see. How did you say your childhood passions as a kid prepared you for your adult career choice?
Hmm. My childhood passion, I've always loved to help people. From elementary school to being in church, that this was my thing. Like I love volunteering. So for me to start Team Yes Sir was kind of just second nature. So I already from a childhood love to help people, and that's what I do now.
Okay. Okay. Um, how would you explain what you do as a professional in a sentence? How would you explain what you do as a professional in a word?
Cultivate.
One word. All right. How would you break that down for us from a sentence perspective?
In one sentence, I cultivate the good and the bad.
Okay. 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 What would you say you love the most about your job?
I love people. I love talking. Like that is the biggest thing. I love talking to people. I love hanging out. I'm a fooditarian, so I just love food. So if I can have the chance of going out to eat with somebody, going out to eat with people, I love it.
What would you say is the biggest challenge in your work?
The biggest challenge. I would say the biggest challenge is getting over self. Because sometimes in the process of doing things, we tend to look we tend to overlook the small progressions. And I think that's the thing with something that's starting out is that we don't look at the small progressions that we made, and we're so focused on the end goal, the end goal, the end goal, that we don't take time to look at the small steps that we made, even if it's just for myself. I paid out of my own pocket for the organization to start. So I paid the almost $200 something to the Secretary of State to get the certificate of existence, the article of corporation, and for me as a 21-year-old to drop that amount of money as a college student, that's a big step for me. Now, where we are now, I'm grateful for the journey, and I'm also grateful to where we're going.
Okay. All right. What steps you talk about certificate of existence? I'm assuming that's for is that what type of business structure are you talking about? What would you? The full question is this: what steps must a person accomplish to become certified or respected in this profession?
So as a nonprofit, there were a lot of things that you need to kind of do, and I'll just explain some of the starting things. One, I would say have some money because it's a it's a costly process to start a nonprofit. Um, think about your board members. Think about what kind of structure you want your organization to be. As for myself, I don't have the general CEO or president, vice president, secretary. That's not how I run my organization. I do have board members, so it doesn't it has the skeleton, but it doesn't have the meat on the bones. So for me, I have on my board, I have a director of organizational development. I have a director of operations. I have a director of finance. I have a director of community affairs, and that's kind of my board structure. I would say do your research. Um, find out what your market area is. Find out do you need to open up a nonprofit, or is this just something of a passion that you want to cultivate in itself?
Dope, dope, dope. All right. Let's see. How does a person, and you talked about, at least from a nonprofit standpoint, not necessarily thinking about salary, but maybe you can give some insight on how to raise support, or how to, the question is, how does a person negotiate about salary or the value of their services in this career choice? What parallel would you make as it pertains to money, as it pertains to launching, moving, etc.?
I would say, um, as far as negotiating a salary, you can take a salary as a nonprofit. Now there are rules to taking a salary. It has to be what they call reasonable. So what I would say is, starting out, don't focus on taking a salary. Focus on building the organization to a point to where you can take a salary. So start off with doing a lot of fundraising things and just generally raising awareness about your organization.
All right. Based on what you know now about your vocation, what advice would you give yourself if you can go back on the first day of the job?
Take a break.
Take a break.
Take a break. I'm a go person. I'm always on the move, and I'm always thinking about something. And I'm still learning how to kind of just slow down, smell the roses, go out to eat, sleep. So that's what I would tell myself, is just not necessarily take your time, because I'm always going, but I would say make sure you allot time to enjoy life.
A sense of balance. It's great. How do you prepare to one day transition from this role? If you do, how do you prepare to one day transition from this role in terms of in-game retirement? Are you thinking in terms of the end in mind? What does the transition look like for you?
The transition for right now is, I would like to get off of my 9-to-5 job. That is my goal, is to get off of my 9-to-5 job. As far as retirement, I'm going to always be on the board, because this is something that is near and dear to my heart. So I don't ever see myself retiring per se, but I do see myself giving the executive director spot to someone else to keep running that division, because I do believe it's going to be a legacy.
Okay. Well, we generally ask our guests to give what we call a Cultivate Countdown, kind of like 3 steps to being good at blah, 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 So if you had to give your Cultivate Countdown, I would infer probably more so towards kind of getting a nonprofit off the ground. Team, yes, sir. What would be a few steps that you can give our viewer?
I'll go with 5. I would say 5. Get a piece of paper. Get several pieces of paper. Bible says, without vision, the people perish.
Could you clarify that when you say get a piece of paper? What type of paper are you talking about?
Get a notebook. I'm sorry, this is the wrong journal. Get a notebook. This is mine.
Okay.
I have just about everything. I have our a contact list in the front of some of the business cards that I've taken from people. I have some certificates. I don't know if you can see that, but certificates and legal documents. I have some proposals that I'm thinking about doing. I even have some of our programs that are already established on paper. Carry that around. Get used to having your notebook.
Be organized. Gotcha. So make a plan, be organized. Okay, got it.
Yep, make a plan, be organized. Number 4, let's see. Get you a team. Get a team of like-minded individuals, and explain to them what you're trying to do, as well as be transparent to how much time they're going to need to give up. Number 3, be consistent. If this is something that you want to do, you have to be consistent in it. It takes a lot of hours. I work about maybe 16 hours a day. So not only do I work my 7:30 to 4:30 job, When I clock out at 4:30, I clock in at 4:31 to Team Yes Sir, or into my other businesses that I have. What's on number 3? Number 2. Again, take breaks. Learn to enjoy life. Number 1, love what you do. If you don't love what you do, it's going to be hard to keep driving. It's going to be hard to overcome your obstacles. So I would say always definitely love what you do.
Sure. All right. What is just our last 2 questions? What is a motivational quote from Khalil Koger? Like, what is something that you want the world to know? Something that we don't see. What is one motivational quote coming from you?
One motivational quote. That's a good one. Without cultivation of the good and the bad, the world can never change.
Okay. All right. Any final thoughts? Any places that you want the viewer to connect with you? Websites, hashtags? What? How do you want people to connect?
You can connect with us via our website. It is teamyessir.org. That's TEAMYESSIR.org. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. You can follow us on either Team Yes Sir or Team Yes Sir Inc. You can also give us a call or text us at 803-596-5669. If you would like to donate to our organization, you can cash app us at Team Yes Sir, or you can make all checks payable to Team Yes Sir. That's all one word, and that's about it.
Well, Khalil, I really appreciate your time, your insight, your wisdom, and I hope to see Team Yes Sir do some great things, and just be encouraged.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
And what's interesting is how often you say yes, sir. You know what I mean? That's a normal rhythm within, because you're such a respectful young man, and so like you'll just say it, and so it's almost like it's a form of, I'll say, branding. I'm sure it's connected to your brand as well, but it's just who you are. You know what I mean? It's a natural expression of who you are, and I pray and I hope to see some wonderful things from it. And man, you have a great day.
You as well. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Have a good one. Yes, sir.